In Chapter 6, we're going to take a look at some of the collaborative tools that Excel has to offer when we want to share workbooks with other individuals. And you'll see the title there of Chapter 6 is Protecting and Sharing Workbooks. And on page 181, we're going to look at the objectives that we'll be taking a look at throughout Chapter 6. First, we're going to look at adding information to a workbook's properties. We'll also add comments containing additional information or other notes to a reader. We'll learn to share a workbook with other people and then view other users who have shared the workbook who have it open at the same time. We'll also look at editing a shared workbook and resolve conflicts with changes. We'll look at printing a history of changes made to a shared workbook. We'll learn to stop sharing a workbook. We'll also protect cells within a worksheet to prevent changes. Obviously we can protect an entire sheet, but there's ways of leaving some of those cells within the worksheet open and available for making changes while protecting the other cells within the worksheet. We'll learn to add a password to an open workbook. We'll also learn to track changes made to a workbook. And then finally we'll modify and resolve track changes. And I want you to make sure that you read through the paragraph there on page 181. It just gives you some ways of using these collaborative tools in Excel and just kind of an overall preview of why each one of these features that we'll be using will be important. On page 182, you'll see the model answers for the projects within the chapter. A little bit shorter than what we've seen in past chapters, so there's just a couple of screenshots of the workbooks that we'll be working towards. In Project 1, we're going to look at adding workbook properties, which essentially is information that's included about a workbook, such as the author who created the workbook, the title of the workbook, the subject, the category to which the workbook is related, and then general comments about the workbook. So any information that you can add to a workbook, if you're going to be sharing it with other individuals, is pretty helpful. There's some information they mention at the bottom of page 182 that is automatically added to file properties when you create a workbook, and such workbook statistics like the date that the workbook was created or the date that the workbook was last modified, all that's already included in the workbook properties. So we're just going to take a look at adding some additional information that would be helpful to others concerning a workbook. And we'll also, in addition to adding workbook properties, we're going to insert comments and then also share a workbook in Project 1. If you'll notice, I've already opened the workbook that they've requested for Project 1A called Cut Rate Pricing, and I've named that Excel Level 2 Chapter 6 Project 1. And the first thing that we're going to do in the workbook is we're going to add additional information about the author's name. We're also going to add a title, a subject, and comments that can be associated with this particular workbook. And to do that, we're going to go into the Backstage view. To get there, I'm just going to go to the File tab, and then within the File tab, I'm going to go to the Information tab, which is already available to us. And then on the right hand side, you'll see some information that has already been applied. The author, original author, is our publisher, which is Paradigm Publishing's, last modified by me. But you will have different options in that area. But we're going to add additional information to that. So we're going to begin by adding an author. So in the related people area, the author, I'm going to go to add an author, and I'm just clicking inside that text box. And they want us to add Chris Sajak, maybe. I don't know how you pronounce that. And then also we're going to add a title, which is in the property area. So I'm going to click inside that text box as well. And we're going to put in proposed rental rates. And then we're going to go to the Show All Properties. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit down at the bottom, Show All Properties. And that gives us some additional categories within each one of our areas. We're going to specify the subject. So again, I'm going to click right inside there. I'm going to put in rental rates for, maybe spell it right, May 1st, 2012. The comments, going to click inside the Add Comments text box, and we'll put in proposed rental rates. Wow. Rates sent for review to regional managers. And then I mentioned before to you about the Paradigm Publishing. They want us to actually remove that particular author. One way to do that is to just right click on that and then choose Remove Person. All right. And then we'll go back to Show Fewer Properties. That kind of reduces it back down to what we had before. And then we're going to view the same information in the Document Information panel. And to get to that, we're going to go to the Properties button and Show Document Panel. And you should see now that below the ribbon and above your worksheet. And the same information that we added previously is going to be shown in the Document Information panel. We're just going to add a few more things just so that you can see that you can add it in both places. We're going to add keywords such as rates, and proposed. Those are keywords that if someone were searching for this workbook, that may be something that they would key in. So there's just some ways that you can enter in the information into either the Document Properties or the Document Information panel, or back through the Information tab and add it through the pane on the right hand side. So that's adding workbook properties to your workbook. Again, just additional information to provide to those who you will be sharing the workbook with, to give them additional information about the workbook. Next, we're going to look at inserting comments within a workbook. And keep in mind, comments can be used actually for what they're named for. Adding additional information or comments to a workbook or a certain cell within a workbook. Sometimes comments are used to provide instructions for a specific cell. It might provide an explanation of a formula that's used. It could, if you're sharing workbooks, comments may be used by the person who's reviewing it to provide additional feedback, or maybe questions that they have about a certain cell entry or any other information within the worksheet or that particular cell. So in the next portion of Project 1, we're going to look at inserting a comment, and then we'll view those comments. We'll also look at editing and deleting comments, and then I'll also show you how you can print your comments. So we're going to begin. I'm going to go back to the Home tab, and we're going to go to cell C10, which has 150 in there, and we're going to add a comment to that cell. Now, one way to add a comment is there's a couple of ways. We go to the Review tab, choose New Comment in the Comments group. Click on that. That'll bring up a text box. Now notice whatever your username is for your computer, that's what will pop up here. So if you're at your home computer, you'll probably have your name coming in it, which is a great way to see visually who's made these comments, especially if you're sharing your workbook with more than one individual. So in this particular comment, we're going to add most competitors charge $175 for weekend rentals of luxury vehicles. Okay, again, additional information about that particular cell. All right. Another way that you can add a comment is to right click and use the shortcut menu. So we're going to go to F8 and right click in that cell. We'll get a pop-up menu, and then you'll notice there's an insert comment option. Again, we still get the text box, and we'll type in consider reducing the discount for minivans to 18%. Okay, again, additional information, additional suggestions. Notice when I click outside those cells, you have red diagonals, red arrows in the upper left-hand corner, triangles is what it's getting at, in the upper right-hand corner of each one of those cells that has a comment. And when you lay your mouse over those cells, you'll see what the comment actually says. Those red triangles will not print. If you were to print out the worksheet right now, you won't see those red triangles. It's only for screen purposes that those red triangles appear. All right, again, we're going to go to F9, and I'm going to right click, choose Insert again, and another comment. Last year, this discount was 12%. Now, we're going to take this same comment, because you can copy contents, take that same comment and we're going to copy it to cell F10. So to copy a comment, I'm just going to right click in the cell that has the comment. I'm going to choose copy, and then I'm going to go to the cell that I want to copy the comment to, which is F10. And again, I'm right clicking and I'm going to choose paste special, and I'm going to go ahead and click in the paste special dialog box, and you'll notice in the paste area for comments, I'm going to paste comments and then click OK. And I'm going to press escape to get rid of this floating marquee, but now both of these cells have the same comment in it. So you can see that you can copy comments pretty easily by using the copy and paste special command. Alright, so you can go to any of these cells and just lay your mouse on top of the cells and it'll display what the comment is. Another way to view your comments, I'm going to press Control Home. It'll take me to the Home tab. If you again look up on your ribbon under the Review tab in the Comments group, you'll see Next and Previous. If I click on Next, that goes to the first cell that has a comment. If I keep clicking Next, it'll go to each one. You can see those being popped up, and I can hit Previous obviously as well, and that'll go from cell to cell and show the comments one by one. And the other thing you could do is show all comments in one shot. So if I click on Show All Comments, they display. Now I know you can't see them necessarily, but if you, each one of these are text boxes as you probably saw, but if I click the text box, get handles around it, get a four-sided arrow on any of the borders, I can click and drag that and treat it just like I would a graphic, so that when they're all displayed, when you show all of your comments, I would be able to read them all when displayed. Okay. Then to edit a comment, if you want to go back and add additional information or make additional changes, you can certainly do that. And the comment in cell C10, they want us to edit that, change it from 175 to 168.99. So to edit, if it's already showing, you can just click inside that text box and change it like you would change any text. If these weren't showing, let me go back just a minute. If I wanted to make a change to F10, say we want to suggest that we change that from 12 to 15 to edit something that's a comment that's not showing. If I just right click, there's an option in there to edit comment, and same thing, I can get my insertion point within the text box and we can make that change to 15%. F8, they want us to delete that comment. So to delete a comment, it's going to right click in the cell that has the comment, and then I don't know if you can see this, in the pop-up menu there's a delete comment option. So I'm going to click on that. That deletes the comment. We'll do the same thing with F9. I'm going to right click. The very bottom of that drop down is a delete comment option. And again, those two comments are gone, leaving the other comments intact. Now, as I mentioned previously, these red boxes, well, red triangles don't show when you print. If I do a print preview right now, and we'll zoom in on that just a minute. I want you to see that those particular triangles do not show on a printout. Okay. Now, if you wanted your comments to print, there's a couple of ways that you can do that. One way, let's sure which way I want to show you first. Let's go into the page layout tab, and in the page setup group we're going to go into actually let's just launch it. Let's go into the page setup dialog box, and in the sheet tab, the comments right now, they're not shown to print. It says none there. But if I click on the drop down arrow, if we say at end of sheet and do a print preview, go to page 2, and there are the comments there. You can see it tells what cell those comments are in, who made the comment, and then what the actual comment was. So you can add your comments to the end of the sheet, okay, something totally separate from your worksheet. Or the other thing you can do, go back to the page layout. I'm going to bring up the page setup dialog box. Again, go to the sheet tab. I'm going to go to comments and choose as displayed on sheet. Now I'm not going to go immediately to print preview because if you do that, you're not going to, I'll show you. Zoom out of that for just a minute. You're not going to see the comments because I didn't have them set to show to begin with, but we did change the option. So now when we show these, if I go back to the review tab, show all comments, now when we do a print preview, those comments are going to show wherever they are in the worksheet. Okay, so you can see that, and those would print out. So just keep in mind that you can, print those at the end, or if you want to print them on a separate page, that certainly works as well.